committee about is, we talked about doing some sort of groundbreaking, but considering the fact that we can't all get together, due to the coronavirus, I don't know if it makes sense to do a groundbreaking or if we should just wait and do some sort of open house in the end. But that's something we want to get your feedback on.
Well, I've been thinking about that groundbreaking, and I think because it is outdoors, we certainly could be, 7 to 10 feet away. I don't know how many of us want to come on that. First, we should find out how many we're going to have. Then we could figure out the logistics of how we could do it. But it would be nice to have a groundbreaking of some kind down there. We don't build in town very often, and we don't build a police station hardly ever. So it'd be good to kind of have something like that. What do you think, Jamie?
It seems kind of like it's going to be a tough photo to take. Gotta have a pretty wide angle lens for that one.
Well, like I said, it just depends upon how many are going to come down. But I guess I'm thinking I've been out shopping this weekend, and my gosh, I see the people at the grocery store and Menards and L&M and all those places. It's they're likely to be a foot apart from anybody. But I'm just saying if we can work it out, it'd be nice if we could. And I don't know how many would like to come on it, but
the other thing, Chairman, if we've kicked around, none of us are experts at this, but we thought about doing some sort of video clip of some sort of video thank you to the community for approving the referendum and kind of in exchange of doing some sort of groundbreaking. Again, we're open to your ideas because to kind of Jamie's point, we were trying to figure out what does the optics look like if you have 10 elected officials, a handful of staff members, a handful of contractors, the architect all standing 6 feet apart. I don't know, just might look a little odd where we thought maybe we could do some sort of video montage of just looking for ideas. It's a big moment and we don't want to miss it, I guess.
Well, I think if we were 6 feet wide, we were 6 feet deep from each other, at least you'd have a picture showing the break in the ground. And you may not get to see a clear shot, but we could at least even have a sign up, say groundbreaking, put the date on or something. But I agree that we should definitely thank the community because without their support of the vote, we wouldn't be able to have this happen at all. So we're fortunate for that too.
I think we should be really sensitive to making sure we don't put out a hypocritical message that it's okay for us to get together and do this, but none of you can get together or go shopping. We really want to be careful of that because the general citizen doesn't really separate city government from state. And there's really starting to be a lot of hostility towards state government right now with the continuation of these orders. Maybe if we could figure out a way to do videos of Ron coming up with the shovel and flipping it out, flipping a load of dirt, and then Jamie doing it, and the mayor, whatever order you decided. But I'd be really nervous to have all of those people in one spot because they also have an order about no more than 10 people congregating.
Well, that's what I say. We should decide who we're going to have down there.
Yep.
And to do that, and we certainly could have Manicky Johnson pick up behind there so know that they're the contractor and go from that. We are starting the project.
Maybe you could get a hold of the fellow that does the drone videos. He's done the Washington Park one and the lighting at the Mulberg Field. Could do something with the drone. Outside the box.
Or if you think this thing's going to be done within 6 or 8 weeks, we could wait and do it after it's underway too. See what comes around.
Another question.
But
other than that, I really don't have any update. I just got a copy of the construction contract from BKV this morning, so we'll review that and hopefully we'll have a contract and notice proceed ready for Thursday's pre-con meeting.
Okay. Anything else come up on that? How about the, of course, we'll be looking at in finance about the borrowing the money on that part. So that's coming down the road.
Yeah, I think the RFP is going out to the banks relatively soon.
Okay, so we'll have that going. Anything else you want to report about the upcoming police building then, or?
I don't have anything unless Chief does.
I don't have anything new. I think you were in on the meeting last week, Ron, with the, just kind of the pre-construction meeting. So nothing new has come out since then.
Well, we could see what comes up, but I really would like to see us, even if it's just a small group, kind of having a kickoff with that down there for the groundbreaking. And, I hate to see us crawling the hole and everything because of the COVID. And like I said, it isn't every day that we ground on a brand new building. See what we can maybe come up with on it. Let's move on. Chief, your report that you got for us here. You mentioned that you're having trouble getting your one of your cars or both your cars because of slowed down because of the COVID. Have you heard any word on vehicles or?
No, we haven't heard anything official from either Ford or Dodge, but talking to some other chiefs, they say that delivery is getting pushed way back. I think assembly lines are all shut down for all the major auto manufacturers right now. So it's a little disappointing, but hopefully we don't get any heavy maintenance costs on either of the two older vehicles we're hoping to get rid of.
Okay. How about as far as I know you've been working on this 12-hour work shift. How's that working along with the COVID and all that in the line of work right now?
So the 12-hour shifts are actually, they work out very well with a situation like COVID. We're able to make a couple minor adjustments of power shifts, which enables us to sequester 3 groups or 3 officers together, and those 3 officers won't interact with any of the other teams. So it limits our cross exposure really well. As you know, we've let them take their cars home, so we don't have 6 people meeting, coming and going at a shift change. That helps out well too. Overtime is down a lot. We've really been very limited on the amount of overtime we've been expending, and I think the 12-hour shifts are related to that. Our calls are down significantly. If you notice,
I see
in my report for the month of April, they're down 375 calls. If I recall, March, we were down 75 calls. So things are just quieter, and it's really changed that trajectory that we saw for about a year and a half, where we were exceeding the previous year benchmark every month. It's quite different to be going the opposite direction.
I see in today's Minnesota news that they said Becker County now has 25 COVID cases.
Yep.
That took quite a jump. Good news, we haven't had any deaths.
From what we're led to believe, quite a few of those cases are in either long-term care facilities or in group home settings. And I think with both of those employers, they have a fair amount of CNA type workers that commute from the Fargo-Moorhead area. So they're speculating that that may be related to why those numbers have jumped up. Kelsey and I sit in on a meeting every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday with regional leaders in city and county government and school district officials. And nobody from the hospital will quite tell us if anybody's in there for COVID. Have you picked up on that, Kelsey, at all? I don't ever hear them answer if they've actually got a patient or not.
Yeah, they told me offline that they can't provide that for HIPAA rules. We have to get that from MDH, they said, so.
Is that the same for the nursing homes? If we have people with nursing homes, they come out from other places where the cases are, but because
Right.
I've had best? Are we safe with our nursing homes? Or I can't tell you.
Again, that's reported to the MDH website, so what's available, there's a list on the MDH website of congregate care facilities that have infections on there, and that's your public source of information.
Okay, all right. Anything else for Chief Todd?
You
Okay.
guys should recall that I've been talking to you about upgrading our WatchGuard in-car video system. I found that it was less expensive than I had anticipated, so I decided to use forfeiture funds to change our system to a more modern, automatically uploading system. So when a squad car pulls into our parking lot or garage, it'll connect wirelessly to our server and automatically upload that video. Previously, how we did it is Sergeant Chris Phillips would go out to the cars and he would pull a thumb drive, a USB thumb drive out of the car, bring that thumb drive into the office and download it into kind of a portable hard drive. Well, my worst fear came true with that last week, and that portable hard drive became corrupted and completely disabled. So right now we've essentially lost the video that was on that portable hard drive. And we sent it over to IT. They couldn't figure it out. They called a private vendor and they quoted us $1,000 to $2,000 to recover the data off of that portable hard drive. Well, we had already duplicated all the important cases, at least the majority of the important cases. So I think I'm just gonna sit and not make a move on that. And if I find out we're getting sued or there's some big court case, then I'll pay the money to copy that drive. But our new system should be going online a week from today. We actually got our last 2 squad cars down getting set up with the communications equipment. So we're gonna try to just hold right now and not spend that money. If all of you understand what I mean by that?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay.
Sounds good. And say a week from today, we're going to have everybody up to speed on new ones. So,
Well, I hope so. I mean, this involves me trying to coordinate between a private vendor, WatchGuard, and our IT department, because everything will be based on a city server now, which has triple redundancy. So we shouldn't ever have an instance where we lose video because one drive goes down. That's it was a risky system that we were running. You're just waiting for the right time when you can afford to fix it.
see what comes. Okay, Jamie, you had a question?
Well, I was just gonna ask, do you see any needs out there in the community that are getting met? Or do you have any concerns about things that are going on that wouldn't be normal without the COVID situation?
Well, I'm I don't know if the word terrified, but I'm very worried about our local business community. You just can't have these small shops sustaining this type of a shutdown for so long and, be able to make 2 or 3 monthly lease or mortgage payments with 0 income. So I'm really fearful that when this is all said and done, we're going to have a lot of empty storefronts around town, which is sad. More on the law enforcement end, I have Beth Priday serving as our volunteer coordinator, and Beth's getting worn out. That's a tough job and it's really demanding, and she's done just incredible work, but she can't do it forever, and she's kind of picked a date when she needs to have an end date in mind, and that's the end of May. Are we going to be through this crisis by then? If not, are we going to be able to continue this volunteer service? I don't know. I mean, we're all tired. We've been going like this for 2 months now, and it's exhausting. And I don't have a lot of energy to put into finding a replacement and teaching them what to do. And I don't think Beth does either. So we just kind of need to get life back to normal for economic and just for our sanity. We're just so, this is an exhausting experience, and you really feel like you're not getting your regular everyday advances completed anymore. And now we're going to have a bunch of financial worries where, is LGA going to be cut? Are we going to have delays in property tax collection? Is our police department budget going to be affected? So you have all those worries that even exhaust you more. So I call it coronavirus fatigue, Jamie. I think I have it, and probably Kelsey has it, and probably Carrie has it, and Glory. You know, it's just, this is a hard thing to maintain for so long.
The question I have are, most of these needs for food delivery from grocery stores and for drugstore deliveries, or where are most of the demand?
Yeah, those are the vast majority of the jobs that Beth is giving out is pharmacy runs and grocery runs.
Because it may be that we'll have to visit with some of the grocery stores and the pharmacies, because I know at CVS, I got an email saying if I can't pick them up, they'll deliver them to me.
Yep. Yeah,
I
they'll mail them to you.
have to maybe talk to some of these places provide that and just say, can you let your customers know that?
Yeah, and visiting with Beth, she feels like the volunteers are, you know, some of them have been allowed to go back to work, so she's losing some of those volunteers. And then just, you know, generally we're all geared up to, when you have a 2-week crisis, we're all on board. Hey, let me do whatever I can to help my community. But at the end of 2 months, you're kind of like, I just want to go lay in the hammock or mow the lawn or something. I don't want to be running around. It's just hard for even the volunteers to sustain this long period of crisis like this.
Chief, I'm on that volunteer list. I haven't been called yet.
Well, that's probably her calling you right now.
Yeah, I don't think so. I'm from Minneapolis. But just let her know that, and I've talked to some other people, our coffee group, they're on that list too. They've never been called. So there are people that are on that list that haven't been called yet. So
I really try to let Beth run her own show. I don't,
but I'm just saying, you can let her know that there's volunteers that have put their names in that haven't been called to be willing to do that. You said they're running out of runners.
yeah.
So let her know there's people out there that will do that. Well, that one,
Sounds fucking-
I don't have anything else. I defer to the esteemed fire chief.
okay, fire chief. What's the good news there? Are you filled up with fire chiefs now or firefighters?
No, we're actually going the opposite way.
Oh,
So,
boy.
I was talking with Glory today. We last Wednesday got news that one of our, I'm going to call it a coronavirus related incident, as far as one of our young firefighters who's going through his block training right now. His place of work was no longer open at the time, so he only was basically sitting in an apartment in town here. So he went back home, fell back in love with his high school sweetheart, and is deciding to move back home. So we're going to lose out on him. We also have another individual who's last year was at the max on our weight requirements, and then this year he increased 7% on his body mass index. So he's got 6 months to get that showing progress, which in the last month he was down about 4 pounds from original, which in this month he went right back up. So he's going to be put on a suspension. And then I got, obviously this fall, I got Lauren Kraus that's going to be retiring. And then I'm willing to bet right now, Rick Johnson will be going also, because Rick's kind of riding the money side of it. And with the market where it's at, I don't see Rick hanging on either. So with all that, that's going to put me at 20. So I was talking with Glory, and my guys are getting burnt out because of the fact that our calls really aren't dropping off. And the very few members that we do have that are doing stuff, it's getting to be a lot for that few members. So I'm talking with Glory about, thinking outside the box. What kind of ideas do we have? What can we do to get more people involved? Because obviously, at the end of the day, we need volunteers to keep this department going. And if we don't have them, then we got to go career, and then we're going to talk about big time money. So we're going to have a sign made for membership. Instead of check in or inquire at the city hall, we're going to put the city hall phone number on there. So that way, and then, or check online at the cityofdetroitlakes.com website. So kind of trying to get that way. That way people, if they're driving by and they see it, they're driven instantly to a response instead of, stopping in at City Hall. I mean, at the end of the day, most youth don't even really know where that's at. And then I was talking with Andy Castaneri just before this meeting. He and I are going to try to put something together instead of doing just a Facebook post, maybe doing an interview with some guys. Why did they join? That type of stuff. I don't have the answers, but I mean, right now even if we slam 10 guys on, I got 10 guys with no experience. And I mean, it's not in a good standing. So, I mean, I'm being honest with you. So.
Is there any chance that we could somehow persuade these fellows that are going to take a retirement in early fall that they can hang on for another few months until we hopefully get some more people? Are they flexible enough to do that? If we get out and come up with a plan somehow to get more firemen for you?
Lauren, no. Lauren's been, I'm going to be honest, he's been riding for 8 years now, just more or less waiting to get his time in and his money. So as soon as he gets his 20 years, he's gone. Once he's fully vested. Rick, I'm hoping we'll at least ride it out till April. Because that's normally when we would see a bump if we're going to get a bump. But where the market's at right now, I mean, it's going to fall more or less on his anniversary date of years of service and going that route. So.
So the last time, didn't you have an ad or something in the paper, a story? Did we get any candidates at all at that time?
No, last time we had any real luck was with, we did that June campaign, Becker County wide, which the fire chiefs did meet at the end of last month, whether we set up a deal through the Becker County with Craig Fontaine, and then some of the other chiefs were at the fire hall. So we did hold our Becker County Fire Chiefs meeting, and we are going to have a June open house again. Obviously still trying to work out the details of if this stay order stays and, we're all not allowed to go outside and play anymore. How are we going to allow the public to come in and ask questions, do that type of stuff? It's tricky. It's, what can we do? What can't we do? That type of stuff. So we're going to do that, but obviously I want to get a heads up on this and get going on the front side and seeing if we can't draw some more interest earlier, but I have to find those people too that are interested in joining. So.
Ryan, do you want to share that when you guys did the big campaign last June, the radio stations volunteered their time, but they're not going to do that this time?
Yeah, so I reached out to the radio stations, and last year they donated all the ads. And this year they said they would do 100% match, so basically 50-50. So whatever we would purchase, they would double. But again, so I'm trying to work with Chris Wiedemeyer, who's now the chair of the Becker County Chiefs, and trying to figure out how do we swing this? Who pays for it? Do we split it up? Do we, that type of stuff. I was also going to get a hold of Craig Fontaine to see if there's any way the county emergency manager would have any resources to help pay for this advertising fund. Because at the end of the day, it does affect everybody. So
I've got a question. I see in one of the posts that we had that Becker County is going to receive $4 million in funds. Are those funds coming soon? Or could some of those dollars be used to advertise for firefighters countywide?
Yeah, I don't know. I got to talk with Craig.
Do you know, Kelsey, on that?
You talking about the CARES funding from the federal government?
Yeah, it was, it said there was going to be $4 million for Becker County, and from the state EDA fund was on one of those posts that you sent out. And because we can't be the only fire department that's having trouble hiring, I'm guessing. What's Freight State Park and what are those communities doing? Are they hurting too?
Yes, everybody is. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is, you know, you look at the Frazee community and they're running 50, 60 calls a year and we're pushing 300 with the same membership. So,
They've got 30 firemen over there?
well, they run about 24, 20, I think their cap is 24 or 26.
Wow,
We run 30.
wow.
So if they're down to 20, well, we're down to 20. We're at 24 right now. We'll be down to 22 here in the next short bit. We're running right where they are, but we're doing, you know, 6 times the calls or better.
Well, the reason I mentioned this 4 million with EDA fund is there's such a thing. We could use a hiring bonus if the guy sticks on for 12 months. We give him $5,000, $10,000 for a sign-up bonus. I mean, I'm just wondering if that money can be used for that. Because when I saw that, I was thinking for things that are kind of unusual. It's not a lot of money, but it certainly help out the fire departments in Becker County. They're all in the same boat as we are.
Yep.
And to answer your question, Ron, that CARES funding, that's what I mentioned in my email from the CGMC, that's what's still being debated at the Capitol. The Senate has a bill out. The House and Governor have not released how they want to spread out those funds that the state received from the federal government. So those aren't dollars in hand yet. We're still waiting to see how they're going to distribute those. I think the $4 million was an estimate on a per capita basis. That's what the Senate proposal is, and we'll see what happens. Chief Swanson, I know we've kicked around that idea of doing a signing bonus. I think there's pros and cons to it, I guess. I mean, one of the fears is you don't want someone to sign up, go through that first year, which is a really expensive year to put them into all the training, give them the bonus, and then poof, they're gone a year after that. But obviously we got to try something. We got to work through the options.
Mm-hmm.
What does the state association say? Because it's probably statewide. What are some of their ideas and thoughts on how to get people to be volunteering on the fire departments in these rural towns? Do they have any ideas at all? Or
No, it's across the board. It's I mean, every fire deal I go to, it's retention recruitment is down in the fire service, you know. Whether it's you know, you see it more and more every day is the youth are, in my mind, and I'm guessing everybody else's, what's in it for me instead of what's in it for everybody else. You know, I mean, even we all know Tom Winters, and you know, one of the reasons Tom left is the amount of time he was putting in for what he was getting paid out of it while he went and did his bar gig and made some more money. So, you know, you look at the whole picture, and you know, the guys that are volunteering across the state, you know, some are getting paid per hour, some are getting next to nothing, you know, and I don't know in my mind what the answer is, but you know, it's an issue across the whole state as far as you know, the young aren't joining and the old are retiring, because at the end of the day, I'm the third from the top yet on time, and I'm not that old in my mind, but you know, time does creep up on all of us. So,
well, I hope we can find something soon, because we're at 22 now, and if we don't get something to happen, we'll be under 20. Then we're going to really be scrambling for help, and I don't know what the answer is going to be, but we've got to find something pretty quick here, because when it starts getting under 20, then we have a major problem. People on vacations and can't come because of work or whatever. It just makes that job even tougher for you as a fire chief.
yep.
But I don't know. When these guys leave, what do they put down, you know, other than those that leave after 20 years? What are these guys that leave before 20 years? What do they say the main reason is they're leaving?
When they retire at 20?
Well, before 20, when those guys leave at 5 years or 10 years.
A lot of it's a job change, you know. Some of it's a job change. Some of them, at the end of the day can't, how do you want to say it? The mental capacity gets full of what they've dealt with and they've had enough. You know, it's a lot. And on our end, I hear a lot from the guys that have left. It was a lot of the time commitment. You know, we do put a lot of time in as a volunteer department. You know, and it does add up. So, I mean, my long range plan is if we ever get to there, would get to about 35 people, because then we could actually go to more of a duty rotation. And that way guys would not have to stress about if they're sitting on the patio at Lakeside having a cocktail, and if the pager were to go off, do they go, do they not go, you know, all that extra risk they're putting themselves into, and then giving them that free time. But from 22 to 35, that's we're a long ways out there. So
Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, if there's anything that the city can help, God, let us know on it, what that might be.
ideas, different ways of reaching out to people other than that we've tried. We've tried social media. We've tried the radio. We've done the newspaper in the past and gotten literally nothing out of it. So trying to find some of that outside the box thing, like somebody said earlier, I think it was Madeline, got to think outside the box and come up with a creative way to get people involved. So.
And you're really recruiting guys or people, excuse me, between the ages basically of about 22 and 30, 22 and 30. Is that your kind of target? I mean, I realize you're not discriminating, but like the average person to come on and do 20 years would be coming on at that 22 to 30 range.
The old rule of thumb was 25 to 35. You know, we did just take Adam Schneethorst on, who is 21, great kid. I think he's going to do really well. That's at the end of the day, we'd like to, we'd like to try to get 5 to 10 years out of them. So if you take somebody at 35 and they're going to get to 45, by then they're not your active young firefighters that are really willing to crawl around on the floor for 30 to 45 minutes at a time, because it's harder to get up at that age. Their bodies are wearing out. So our realistic target is into that, 35 and under age. I do have an 18-year-old right now that would love to join, but our rules say 21. So, but once we get over that 35 mark, it's, are they there just for the pension and not do the job, or where they're at? So male, female, that don't matter to me. I mean, Shanda does a great job for us. We've had a couple other gals that have joined. The one was really, Jacqueline was really working out well. I was wishing she actually would have stayed, but she got a political job in Wisconsin, so she moved back home. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So what are you talking approximately number of hours that a fireman puts in every year?
In a year? I'm not done tallying that information. Justin Wagemeester and myself have been pulling Carrie pulled a bunch of the paperwork for us, and we've been going through all the books and tallying all that up with the training hours and the fire call time and all that. I could definitely, we could probably get that here wrapped up here shortly, and I could either email that out to you folks or have it for the next meeting.
You could have it for the next meeting, but I guess I'm thinking if these people are putting in 1,000 hours or more, we may have to look out of the box and say maybe some of these guys we maybe have to pay a little bit of a salary to get some of these guys to work for us.
Well, you look at just training in general. We meet 52 weeks a year, and our training always is two plus hours. So just in training at the fire hall, that's 110 hours. That's no calls, no added sectional schools, stuff like that. So
I'll figure out those hours, and because we certainly can't continue down the road like this. And are the employers, are I know years back, the employers are very good about letting their people off to go for a fire call. Do you find that a little bit of an obstacle nowadays too?
Yes, you know, back when I started, a lot of the guys were self-employed or worked for a lot of, you know, the employers allowed them to go. I mean, us at the shop at one time, we had 7 firefighters working for us.
Oh, boy.
But we're seeing now that, you know, the last couple where we've had, you know, the bigger stores, like the one individual we have working at Walmart, he's not allowed to go. You know, when Tom was working, Gottschall was with us, he worked at Menards, he wasn't allowed to go. So the bigger box stores are great. They bring a lot of people to the area, but at the end of the day, they're not willing to let their employees go to serve in that, you know, spectrum. So it's still, we're looking for the smaller employer that is right now, unfortunately not doing much, to then take their people away from them in order to do this job. So.
Well, come back and give us those numbers and we'll know where we're at on it anyway. And we may have to look at some.
Oh, you want to, Raleigh?
Yeah, okay. Other than that, I know I've talked with Sean, and I don't know if Kelsey wanted to touch on it at all about potentially burning the compost pile. If that's a go, my guys are, I mean, obviously it would save the city a ton of money if we decide to do that, and my guys are fine with it. I see Sean's on right now, but so
Yeah, what do you, would that be a 1-night burn or 2-night burns to do it part at a time, or what do you think?
That's a big pile. I think it's gonna have to be a Saturday burn.
Okay,
And like I told Kelsey, I said, you know, obviously we would do it, but I'd want my guys to be paid per hour for doing it. I mean, they're going to be wasting their Saturday burning a pile that potentially would cost the city over $40,000 to have it ground up. So,
yep.
And you know, as far as department to department, there should be no transition of funds that way in my mind. But as far as my guys spending their time, they should be compensated for that. So,
Have you got thoughts on that, Kelsey?
No, I think we're all good to go. I know you want things to green up a little bit more before you do it. So whenever the day is right, we'll give it a whirl. You know, there was some hesitancy on whether we want to burn it, but you know, for $40,000, I think we got to give it a try.
No.
Yep.
So we composted, it would be about a $40,000 price tag, huh?
To grind it.
Yep. Wow. Yep. Okay, anything else besides that? Any schools coming up, or normally this year you probably won't be having your firemen's conventions because of what's happening?
No, the Minnesota State Fire Conference has been postponed till I think August. The Chiefs Conference is in October. That's still tentatively on. The one thing is that I did see a letter from the Fire Chiefs Association saying that the governor did open up our training ability and stuff like that as fire departments go, and we're able to do certification testing again and stuff like that. So I'm hoping that Fire Inc., I talked to Chip today, he's going to try to start putting some things together, reaching out to the cities, making sure that everybody's fine with that. If their members come in and finish up their classes, they're 2 classes away from taking their final certification test. This again would be the one that is leaving us to move back home. He's got 2 classes, takes the test. If he passes the test, we get our money back. If not, we have to pay the bill for his block training that he did not complete. So at the end of the day, we're, you know, trying to get all that handled, but still trying to follow within the guidelines of the governor. So,
All right. Okay. Anything else, Ryan?
Not really.
So did you have a burnout on Highland Drive that?
Yeah,
That's what, okay, because I saw a lot of smoke. I thought that must be what it was then. Okay.
Yeah, so we've been, continuing our smaller group burn or training. Obviously, at the end of the day, the guys got to keep sharp on their skills. So we limited their amount of people that could basically keeping it down to small crews in order for them to still do training. So we've had a lot of, young guys, stuff like that. We were actually planning that burn with the Minnesota DNR where they were going to come in and teach how to do proper back burning, how to do water lines, how to do all that type of stuff instead of, how to fight fire with fire instead of always going to get it against it with water and trying to look at a different tactic way. DNR wasn't able to participate because of their restrictions, but yet we still kept it in the small group numbers and were able to do that. So we actually had the big burn up there, which I had all the young guys, and then a bunch of the older guys went over by Jim Sinclair's and Andy Castanery's and burned off an area over there also.
All right. Very good.
And part of that is at the end of the day, as much as we'd like to social distance with each other and stuff like that, I've talked to Moorhead Fire, I've talked to Fergus Falls. It's really not possible in our business. I mean, the pager goes off, I slam 5 to 6 guys in the cab of a truck and send them down the road and ready to fight a fire. It's the job.
Yep.
So our big thing is if you feel sick or if you think you're getting sick, just don't show up, give me a call. Cause I mean, I can't send 2 guys in every truck. I mean, I would never get enough guys there and run out of equipment. So.
Yeah. No, I know your hands are full. There's no doubt about it. I can hear that. Well,
yeah.
Good luck in the search and hope we come up with a solution here and then we get those numbers back about hours and so forth and find out what it takes to make the existing people that you have happy so that they don't end up leaving too.
Yep.
So see what comes around.
I will get that for you.
All right, very good. Jamie, you have anything at all?
I don't.
Okay, Madeline? Anything else with you, Chief Todd? Kelsey? Anything you might have?
The only thing is just, obviously, since we can't meet in person, there's a couple of things we pushed back. If you remember, there's that massage therapist ordinance. We were going to have a public hearing on that.
Yeah.
I think that was originally scheduled. I think we were going to do that back in April. We pushed it back to May, and now we continue to push it back. And of course, they're not in operation anyways because of the executive order. So we'll keep pushing that back until we can actually have a hearing in person. And then our tour and meeting of the fire department, obviously that's been pushed back, and who knows how long that will be before we can get together on that. I don't know, Chief, if you've had any calls from the townships about their contracts. I haven't received any. I think we're probably good for this year, aren't we?
Yeah, I think we're fine for this year. Right off the bat, I got a phone call from Ken Schroyer, about the increase and stuff like that. And I just explained to him, Ken, at the end of the day, it's expenses go up, gear goes up, that type of stuff. And Ken was fine with it. And he's just like, and he even made the comment, do we need to take an approach of the next couple of years to get us back on track? And I was like, well, we need to have that to sit down and talk. That's why we were going to plan that meeting. So, Lakeview Township, the way Ken made it sound, they're on board with looking at increases and stuff like that. Cause at the end of the day, the equipment prices are going skyrocket and the budgets don't follow as fast as everything else goes up.
Oh, that's right. Everything's through the roof. Okay, well, not hearing anything else. So this meeting is adjourned, and thanks all of you for attending this month's meeting. We'll see you next month. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Council. Thank you. Gary, I'm going to stick around.